You're listening to the Holistic Nootropics Podcast, your home for holistic, evidence-based cognitive enhancement strategies. And now your host, Eric Levi.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Holistic Nootropics Podcast, where we discuss using nootropics, biohacking, and nutrition to help you boost your cognition. If you are new to the podcast, then please take a moment and remember to subscribe. If you are enjoying the podcast, and there is no doubt you will, remember to give it a big thumbs up if you're watching it on YouTube. And if you're listening to the audio, head on over to Apple Podcasts and leave a 5-star review. And if you really enjoy the podcast, then please share it with all your friends, family. No doubt you're going to love this podcast we have coming up today. So make sure that everyone in your network gets a piece of the Holistic Nootropics Podcast. Also, if you are someone who is looking to boost your performance with supplements or nootropics, then head on over to holisticnootropics.com and download a copy of my free supplement buying guide. This is a fully comprehensive guide that will walk you through ingredient by ingredient on what to look out for to make sure that you only buy the best quality nootropics and supplements on the market, because I cannot emphasize enough, the supplement industry is a $100 billion industry. That is not by accident. That is because most of the stuff on the market is absolute hot garbage. So you want to make sure that you are looking out for all of the stuff they put into supplements. Avoid that crap and make sure you get only the best so you can boost the power of your body and your brain and ultimately your life. Okay. That is my introduction soapbox. Today on the podcast, we have a very special guest. His name is Juraj Kocar. He is the CEO of Somavedic. And Somavedic, if you don't know, is an EMF mitigation device that uses a unique blend of precious stones and minerals to harmonize the adverse effects of electromagnetic field, otherwise known as EMF, and the geopathic stress that it causes on one's body. Juraj, welcome to the Holistic Nootropics Podcast.
Thank you for having me, Eric. It's a pleasure.
It is a pleasure. I'm so excited to talk to you because I have a Somavedic and I've got it plugged in. I'm structuring my water. I'm feeling some EMF mitigation happening, and it's such an interesting concept. And it's so 21st century, and there's so many cool aspects to it. But before we jump into the Somavedic, I would love to know your story on how you became interested in not just this kind of technology, but really the health space in general.
Yes. So, like my journey with there's a story, before I got to Somavedic. I was quite sick during my university studies. I know that it was from the lifestyle I was having, like food and alcohol and sleepless nights, throughout 5 to 6 years. And so yeah, I had to really dramatically change my basically diet and lifestyle and everything to be able to function normally. And after this transition, which was quite a ride for me, and I learned lots of things. I had the feeling and the calling to help somebody else to go through some transition or help them in a mental or physical way, that stayed with me, and it was basically growing, to help people by education or giving tips or whatever, just basically anything that could help them, uplift their mood or their health. So this is what my calling was since, let's say, 2012. But I was going through like the regular jobs that I had at that time. And later in 2018, I met a friend when I was visiting him, and he had this he had these like glowing, colorful lamps all over his living room, and I asked him like what it is, and he said like, that's a Somavedic. It's like mitigating the EMF effects, but he told me some really interesting stories. What happened when somebody got the Somavedic, and that got me really intrigued and interested. And it was at that time when it basically like clicked, like, yes, this is it. This is what I want to do through the Somavedic or with the help of Somavedic, to help people on a scale with a product. So yeah, I started to collaborate with him. A year after that, we set up the US branch, and we are growing since then really, really nicely. But we can talk about that later.
Yeah, and so with your friend, I'm just curious because to have that kind of impact on you, I'm curious what your friend found the benefits of it were. What did he had experienced personally?
Yes, so I can't remember like the friend's benefits, what he was experiencing, but the stories that he mentioned to me, were mainly around improving sleeping phases and energy levels, and even like mood and relationships, which was very interesting. And I didn't feel any specific things when I was at his place, but until I brought my own Somavedic home and turned it on, I started like my jaw started to buzz a bit, like it would be like electricity there. My head was spinning a bit, like if I would be drunk or something like that. But this went on for like 15-20 minutes. But it was interesting that when I was at his place between 20 Somavedics, I didn't feel anything special until I got my very own and plugged it at home. So that was my first reaction to Somavedic, first experience. But few days later after that, I brought Somavedic to my office to work, and that was the second time when I basically experienced the biggest difference, and that was when I was leaving the office. I don't know, it was like 5 p.m. or something like that. It's when I noticed the huge difference in energy level that I had at basically towards the end of the working day. When you are used to going to work, like every day, you take it for, you don't realize that much, or you are not thinking about that much how you feel. You are just like, let's say, normally tired, a bit after the working day, you going home. But then I brought Somavedic to the office, and the huge was the difference was really huge. Like the energy levels were really high, and that was the only thing that changed that day. And and then when you have actually the option to compare, because otherwise you take something for granted, and all of a sudden when you have something to compare it to, you can see the huge difference. So that was for me just a confirmation that this is something that I want to do and bring to as many people as possible.
So with the Somavedic, then, those are, I could see it having a big impact in an office environment, because an office environment is so stale. There's cords everywhere. Of course, there's Wi-Fi everywhere. It's just like hyper concentration of technology and all the things that, all the accoutrements of the modern world. So it's a good case study, I think. And in the home, we all try to keep our home like as calm as possible. So maybe the effects might not be as profound, but certainly I could see it being very useful, like in a work setting. Yeah.
I mean, like that was, I just share like my personal experience with the Somavedic, but the 99.9% feedback that we are getting is, of course, from home environment. Because basically people buy to have it at home to protect the sleeping phase, because that's the very precious time when our body tries to regenerate. And, we don't want EMFs to interfere in that, or basically we want to create as let's say harmonized environment during the sleep as possible. So that's why people buy it like for their homes. And the feedback that we are getting almost like on everyday basis is, improving the quality and length of the sleep. We have like lots of photos and from not only biohackers sending us for screenshots from the apps, how their deep sleep improved, how their energy levels went up, how people they don't suffer from migraines that often, so lots like variety of things.
That's great. So just to give listeners and viewers a background, because I don't know if most people listening to this know what the Somavedic is. And, we've talked about kind of your personal experience and some feedback you're getting from users. But, if you could break down exactly, what this device is and the technology behind it.
Sure. So behind Somavedic, there's a story as well. It also came out of a need where I'm the CEO, but my dear friend Ivan, he's the basically founder, he's the inventor of Somavedic, and he also had various health problems that doctors were not able to basically heal or cure. They just gave him pills like, yeah, there you go, and this is for the rest of your life. So, he was not satisfied with that. He started to study like Chinese and Ayurvedic medicine and different healing properties of precious stones and minerals, because at that time he was studying the effects of geopathic zones and EMF on our bodies. From the books that he learned and the health problems he had, he was able basically to heal himself. And he's not like a doctor or anything. He's like an Ikigai mathematician, and he was helping other people as well, and that was working well. And eventually he decided that what if he could put all the knowledge and experience together into a device that would basically mitigate the effects of EMF and geopathic zones. And a year after this idea, it was in April 2011, basically the first Somavedic was born.
And what exactly is a geopathic zone?
Yeah, so geopathic zone is, for example, below the surface of the Earth. For example, you have like tectonic plates like touching each other, and they are creating like a sort of like vibration. Or in most cases, geopathic zone is created by a flowing river, below the surface. So the flow of the river is creating a vibration, and that when that is surfacing, and you have, for example, bed on top of such a geopathic zone, it's like the studies are showing that it can lead to serious like health issues, and it's enough basically to move your bed or your office chair away from the zone, and that's fine. So the Somavedic was basically designed to mitigate these effects. So the EMF won't go away. I mean, the Somavedic is not blocking the EMF. If you take a meter, like the signal is still there, your phone is still working. But what the Somavedic is doing is creating a field of its own, in where basically living organisms respond to the EMF fields differently. They are not so stressed, I would say, because and various data is confirming that.
And what is the technology that the Somavedic is using? Yeah.
So, as I mentioned previously, what Ivan was studying. So the idea behind it is, and the core principle of Somavedic is the amplification of natural properties of various precious stones and minerals. So he combined various precious stones and minerals with different energy amplifiers, plus a frequency therapy technology that is working together. And what the Somavedic is doing, thanks to this unique combination, is basically creating this field. You can think about it as a Wi-Fi router, but in a good way. Like it's emitting this field, creating this field that is penetrating walls and floors. But the field is basically the amplified properties and frequencies of precious stones minerals. So that's the foundation and that's the core of Somavedic, the principle behind it.
Okay. So in every Somavedic, there is an assortment of these precious stones, and is it metals as well?
Yes.
Okay.
So yes, in each Somavedic, there's a bit different, composition of precious stones and minerals, different sizes, different types, and different amounts.
Right, and so it varies on the device. Is there like names of these stones? Like, how do you choose these stones and these minerals that you're using? Does every Somavedic have the same amount of each one? Is there like I guess like a company standard that you have, that every Somavedic that goes out has so many of this stone and so many of that stone?
It's not. It's not. Each Somavedic has really only. I would say there's only the sky, cobalt and ruby have few similar stones, but then the rest is unique for each Somavedic. So there's not different gemstones that we would use across the whole spectrum of Somavedics, because you can differentiate between the Somavedics through two things. That would be the strength of the field, and if the Somavedic is structuring water or not. And that is also dependent on the water structuring capabilities, is also dependent on the type of gemstones that are inside.
So, okay. So that, I guess, goes to my next question, is how do you measure that? You're talking about a field is being created, and then you're saying you could see if you can structure water, but is there a device or a measuring tool that you use to do that?
Yes. So at the very, very beginning, when he was basically putting the first prototype together, Ivan had 5, I would say, extrasensory people, testing. So he was intuitively experimenting with something with the precious stones and minerals. Then he gave it to these people individually, and basically they all had to agree on what it is doing or what it is not doing. So after all 5 of them agreed, yes, this is what I can see or feel or anything, then he updated some things, and this was going on for a while. And after he was satisfied with the results, basically he started to measuring it on with bioresonance devices, which are here in Europe. In some countries there are certified medical devices that you can diagnose and heal various illnesses with it. So he started to measure with the bioresonance devices. He basically was measuring it with 7 different types, 7 different producers, and all of the devices were showing very similar results. That is helping, with the EMF mitigation and with the effects to mitigate the effects from geopathic zones.
Wow! So this is not canceling out EMFs. It's is it that the field that's being created by the Somavedic has such a beneficial effect in the body that you're essentially teaching the body how to counter the effects of EMF?
Yeah, well, so yes. Basically, it's not blocking the EMF, but on a cellular level, the cell behaves differently. For example, we were comparing in a lab environment, human cells in a perfectly shielded EMF environment, and we were measuring the speed of cell regeneration. In a non-EMF environment, there was certain speed. Then they put the cells in the usual EMF environment, the one that we are on an everyday basis. And there was some kind of speed. It was much lower, of course, because of the EMF. And then they put the Somavedic next to the cells in the usual EMF environment, and the speed was improved. It was not that high as in a non-EMF environment, but it was somewhere in between. It was basically higher than if there wouldn't be like a Somavedic. So it is, it's not blocking, but it's helping the body, or helping the cells, not to be that, let's say, stressed, with the EMF effects.
Sure, and that makes sense because we're just, bathed, overwhelmed with EMF radiation at this point, or EMF frequencies at this point, that if there's something that can mitigate it, and that's what you say, in the marketing and everything, it's not going to eliminate, it's going to mitigate, which, I say this, if you can do anything to just lower the amount of EMF radiation, it's the only way to get away from it completely is to just not have it. But that's impossible in this day and age.
Yeah. You are right. We definitely what we advise is definitely to lower your EMF exposure as much as possible. To use flight mode on your cell phone. Not to have wireless headphones. That is zapping your brain like crazy. To ground yourself. To do intermittent fasting. To improve your cell regeneration. To do various supplementation. So really to avoid all the smart fridges and everything, really to do as much as you can to lower the EMF exposure. And then, of course, you can add devices or device like Somavedic that even helps with the EMF mitigation after you've done everything basically right, to mitigate the exposure.
And can you talk a little bit about the water structuring aspect of this? Because this is such an interesting concept that maybe I've heard over the last year or two. I don't really understand it, but I do think at least the little bit that I like, the overall general concept of it, I think is very interesting. And the fact that this device does that is a major, is a major positive for me.
Yes. So Masaru Emoto, the Japanese scientist, was among the first ones that brought the concept of structured water to mainstream when people started talking about it. And what he was doing, he was basically freezing the water drops and doing like a dark field microscopy and taking photos of the frozen crystals. And what he realized, or basically what the experiment showed, that the emotions are affecting the structure of the water. And what is important is that, of course, in nature you can find structured water in flowing rivers, but where you can't find structured water is like the tap water, the plastic bottles and everything. And why is this important is that in our cells there's only structured water. And so basically to drink structured water is you are getting the most bioavailable state of water is the structured water. From the same amount of water you are getting much higher hydration. And one example is that my colleague, she said, I used to drink a gallon of water a day. And I was still thirsty. So after I started structuring water with Somavedic, I'm drinking half of it and I'm not thirsty anymore. And on top of that, as an additional benefit, her migraines are almost gone. So yeah, that's those are some of the benefits of structured water.
Yeah, and it's funny you say that example because I'm actually having a very similar experience where I drink a lot of water. I've always drank a lot of water. I grew up in Arizona where it's a desert, and I worked outside. I just kind of built a habit of drinking maybe not a gallon a day, but pretty close, and I've just carried that through my whole life. And in the last week or so, since I've had the Somavedic plugged in and I've been intentionally putting water next to it, I have had a very similar experience where I don't think I'm drinking as much water, almost to the point where I have to force myself to remember, like, drink more water, but I'm not thirsty. I'm just doing it because it's like, I got to do it, you know? So I definitely can relate to that.
Yeah. So there are various ways how you can structure water. There are like by vortexing and but the way how Somavedic is structuring the water is the same way how it's basically the field that the Somavedic is creating is structuring the water, and the field, and this was also basically, R&D behind it, because to test out how, what gemstones can do that, what combination. Because at the very beginning, when Ivan was telling me about like how he was like trying to basically come up with the water structure with the contactless water structuring, the water structuring with the field. He said, at the very beginning, you have to put like specific amount of water next to Somavedic for a specific period of time. Otherwise, it wouldn't be structured, or it would be basically like too buzzed or like over energized, and it wouldn't taste well. And then so he was experimenting with it, and eventually he found basically the right combination how you can keep the water next to the Somavedic for as long as you want, for 20 minutes or 2 days. It will be basically structured like 100%, and it will be kept that way. So it's people may think that you just put different gemstones together and that's it, but there is like a real research and development behind that as well.
And with the structuring of the water, is there like anything, like any types of glasses or any kind of, like structure to put the water in to optimize that process or that take away from it? Like I use like stainless steel cups, and would that interfere with the field at all, or can you only do it with glass? What are the specifics of that?
Yes. So from the measurements, we can see or we saw that the most, let's say, materials we would use or we recommend is glass or porcelain. It could be plastic, but glass and porcelain are ideal. With the metal, it will work, but it just needs more time. So, for example, someone when has Berkeley water filter with it will work. It just needs because usually when you put glass or porcelain like next to it, next to Somavedic, it will take about 15-20 minutes until it's structured, and when you can taste the difference. With the when it's something metal, it would just take longer.
And is there anything, because like what I've been actually doing is I've been putting it in like a glass jar with the lid on and putting it next to it. And I'm just kind of using that like as a reservoir, and I'm just like refilling the jar, putting that next to it. When I want a drink, I pour it out from the jar. Is there anything as far as like, it doesn't work as well with a lid on or a lid off? I know I'm getting very specific, but these are like the biohacker nerdy things that like the details I got to know. But does like lids make any difference? Anything like that?
No. Basically, it's enough, when you put like a jug of water next to it and leave it there. And then from there, you pour the water, in drinking glass. But there isn't anything else you basically need to do to make it more, I don't know, more.
Yeah. So the field penetrates the surface of the glass.
Yes.
And that's so interesting. As far as where you actually place the Somavedic, in your home or your office, is there an ideal spot? Do you want to keep it away from anything? We're talking about EMFs. Do you want to put it next to a Wi-Fi router? Do you want to keep it away from a Wi-Fi router? Do you want it in the middle? Do you want it next to your bed? Where's a good place to put this thing?
Yes, that's a great question. So as we talked about, the protecting our sleep. So the best place for Somavedic would be somewhere in the middle of the apartment or house, let's say living room or kitchen, where you can have where you can structure water. Like the field of the Somavedic is 100 feet radius. That means 100 feet left, right, up, down. It's the bubble is quite big, that the field that is creating. So somewhere in the middle of the flat or apartment or home is perfectly fine. But if you if you are hesitant or if you wouldn't feel, let's say, comfortable or something, you can place it like closer to the bedroom, but not directly to the bedroom. And this is the main. You can do it, let's say, after a week or something like that. But during the first days, your body is adapting to the field of Somavedic, and it may disturb sleep for the first like 1, 2, or 3 nights. So that's why we don't recommend placing it from the very beginning to the bedroom. And the second thing that it's emitting. Some models are emitting quite bright light. So of course it's perfectly safe to cover it. It has a room temperature and it stays that way. So it's safe to cover, but just middle of the apartment or a bit closer to the bedroom.
And so this field is going through the walls. Does it matter if it's like, if you have brick walls between things? Is there anything that this field cannot penetrate?
It would have to be really like thick metal walls.
Okay. That's good to know.
But other than that, like the usual, let's say, European houses that, very like solid buildings, and that's working well with that.
Is it getting interfered with by any like Wi-Fi? Like if you put it next to your router, or you put it next to, I don't know, a cable box or something, or a smart TV or something, will it be interfered with at all?
It's not. It's basically the Somavedic is doing its own thing with the combination, and it's just emitting the field like no matter what where it is placed. So, and it's not interfering with any devices, because we want to have Somavedic we do have Somavedic in doctors' offices. So, where they need to do some, precise measurements, and there can't be any interferences. So it's not interfering with any devices.
Awesome. And, you were talking about the research and development aspect of this. And I mean, it's got to be so interesting to see that data. If somebody wanted to do their own research and go, hey, the Somavedic thing sounds good, but I'm not totally sold on the science, is there a place they could go to find research on this or literature, something that backs up a lot of the claims that are out there about Somavedic?
Yes. So of course we have what the data we have is published on our webpage in the science section, and you can find there that that it's improving HRV, sleep. People are experiencing feelings of peace and calmness. It's improving the speed of cell regeneration. So there is various data that it's. We don't have any like a double-blinded study yet, but we have very interesting data from different labs and doctors. But if someone is hesitant, or what I would always recommend is to try out the Somavedic, because it's really like an individual experience. Everybody's perceiving the Somavedic differently and has a slight different experience, and no data or study will show you that. And the reason why I'm saying it is that we offer a 60-day money-back guarantee. So it's basically risk-free to test it out for 2 months. And you can see if it makes a difference in your life, if it's improving some part of you, what you would like to improve or not. If not, it's perfectly, you can send it back and we'll give you the money. So it's really mainly about really giving it a try, and because there's no risk behind it.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people who are EMF, very EMF sensitive. I've talked to a lot of these people, and they make simple fixes like, okay, I'm not going to use my ear pods anymore. I'm going to use hardwired headphones, or I'm going to get rid of my people are getting rid of Wi-Fi in their place, and they're just using hardwired internet and that stuff. So you're right. Sometimes we hang a lot on these placebo-controlled, double-blind, randomized studies, and all these different things. And I mean, that stuff is certainly great to have, but at the end of the day, we all react differently to everything. So does this work for you? Yes or no? And if it feels like 60 days is a pretty good amount of time to know whether it works for you or not.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, majority of people can tell the difference within the first days. That's when as I mentioned my story, that's when you basically experience the biggest difference, because all of a sudden you realize, I feel like this, and I wasn't feeling like that just days ago, so there's really plenty of time, the 2 months, to really find out, yes, it's working for me or it's not working for me. So of course we are working on more studies, because we from the feedback that we are getting on everyday basis, how people are thankful that they have it, and how it changed almost their life, that finally had their great sleep, or they feel they have much more energy during the day. There are really various things. So now what we are doing, we early next year, we are starting another bunch of different studies that would show what is going on the cellular level, or on the biomarker level, because we know the end results. How basically what the people are experiencing, what improvements they are experiencing, but we want to understand what's behind it and what's going on the cellular level or biomarker level in our bodies.
And people would love to have that data, not even because, I mean, obviously it supports the product itself, but to glean a little info into this alternative health space, not to say that there's a doctor out there that would say, hey, you got cancer, get a Somavedic, but in the sense that like we're all talking about, what can I do to get 1% better? What can I do to just kind of help myself thrive in this very difficult world that we live in, and difficult meaning that we're surrounded by EMFs, we're surrounded by chemicals, we're surrounded by all of these things that are just chipping away at our health every single day. Is this a device that can counteract that and start giving me some benefits going in the other direction? Again, the research certainly helps support that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this is what we are after. This is what we are working on, and we have really great results with the Somavedic. But like this, on the other side, the expectations are really high for the product, and when you read all the amazing reviews, which are like 100% of them are legitimate, like we don't write our own reviews, and we just publish what we get. But then people can feel like my life didn't change,
Yeah.
So I'm trying to always tell people like Somavedic is not like a magic pill that would heal all of your health problems or get off, that your life would all of a sudden be like in a fairy tale. There are so many things involved in what is going on in our bodies, and you have to do the diet right, the exercise, the water, the air, so many light, so many things that we should be watching for and take care of. So yeah, Somavedic is a great addition to all of what we should be doing.
Yeah, it's so funny because I'm in this space and I have a lot of conversations with people like yourself, a lot of doctors, research scientists, entrepreneurs who are, putting the products out. It's a nice web of the biohacking space that I've found myself kind of finding my way through. But in each thing, it's always of course there's benefits to it. Of course there is, right? But, I think as consumers, we also, and I really appreciate you saying what you just said, because a lot of companies who have products, they don't come out and say that hey, look, this isn't going to transform your life. It's going to have these effects and it's going to have these benefits, but it's not going to take, your obesity and help you shed 100 pounds. It's not going to single-handedly lower your heart rate to an acceptable level. It's not going to cure cancer again. So having your expectations real, but what this is going to do is it's going to introduce a positive energy field in your home, which is what really we're all lacking. We're all in the negative right now. And this is going to shave a lot of that negative and hopefully kind of get you back at least a little bit into the positive.
Yeah, definitely. So, how I explain how the Somavedic works also is that it's basically creating this space where your body has more energy to start the self-healing processes, because the body is doing the healing. It just needs the right conditions for that. So Somavedic is adding its share to creating these conditions to start the healing processes of the body, and it's definitely beneficial in the mid and in the long run for sure.
Yeah, and I really think of anything else, if you're I don't get into the woo-woo stuff, crystals and stones, and that's not my thing. I'll tell you, man, put a jar of water next to this thing, leave it there for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and then drink that water. First of all, your water is going to taste better, but second of all, I think that you're going to over time like start to appreciate the fact that you're not just like you're not like, wispily thinking or wishfully thinking that, oh, I'm living in this fairy tale land. It's like, no, you're actually putting the stuff in your body. So you're getting the benefits that you're looking for from supplements, which I already told you at the beginning, most of which are junk. So you might as well try to get your water straight at the very least. And then at the other side of it is you're going to mitigate all of this radiation, all of these frequencies that are in your house that have never been seen by humans in the last 2 million years that we've been around.
Yeah. So, for example, like there's a huge trend, which is a great thing, towards the, thanks to, let's say, Oura Ring and other wearables, to really pay attention to the sleep phase, what's going on and deep levels and deep sleep levels and everything. You can see it in professional sports and everywhere. And, why wouldn't you like want a product that would like basically increase your deep sleep or basically improve your sleep? Like no matter what's the, let's say, the science behind it or the principle, if you can see the results, especially when you are a professional athlete, that every percentage counts, the regeneration or restorative phase is really important for them. We see we see the biggest basically feedback that we are getting is the sleep improvement. So yeah, it's a great thing, to have these devices and then trends toward measuring and improving our sleeps and lots of other interesting data.
And that's a huge one is the Oura. I always default to the Oura Ring tracking because it's real time, data. And for what it's worth, it's like maybe the Oura has its flaws for sure. But you really, I always say this on this podcast, but I know the difference between when I feel like a 70 ready and an 80 ready. And if there's something that could just give me like that 5 to 10 point edge per day, I'll take that 100% because to me I can physically feel that. And I think a lot of people who wear the Oura feel very similar.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So this is great, Juraj. I really appreciate you coming on and talking a little bit about this device. Like I said, I've been using it. I think it's really cool. The structured water thing is so cool. The mitigating the EMF radiation is so cool. There's a lot of really great aspects. And, if you're somebody who believes in this kind of stuff, you're open to the power of energy fields and this sort of thing, then this is probably one of the top products on the market to optimize that. It's really combining modern science with this kind of traditional, way of looking at health.
Yeah.
So I really love what you're doing and wish you all the best on future endeavors. If somebody wants to learn more about Somavedic, get in contact with you, buy one of these things, where is the best place for somebody to go?
Yeah, it would be our webpage, like somavedic.com, or they can reach out to me at hello@somavedic.com.
Awesome. And we're going to put all those links in our show notes in the podcast description when we release this. Otherwise, Juraj, thanks so much for joining me again on the podcast today. Listeners and viewers, you know what to do. If you haven't done it yet, remember to subscribe. Go on over to somavedic.com, show Juraj some love, and keep on performing optimally. Till next time, peace.
Thanks for listening. For more brain-boosting info, in-depth articles, and show notes, check out holisticnootropics.com.